Hello there. Season 4 of Game of Thrones aired in April of 2014 and covers the other half of Song of Swords, Blood and Gold. Arya Stark is captured by the Hound, who's planning on taking her to her aunt Lysa of the Vale, who Sansa has been taken to. Daenerys Targaryen is ruling Meereen. Bran Stark continues his journey beyond the Wall until he finally meets the Three-Eyed Raven. Jon Snow is preparing Castle Black for a waddling attack. Tyrion Lannister has been falsely accused of poisoning King Joffrey. And Jaime Lannister is trying to reason with her father Tywin to be lenient with Tyrion. Brienne of Tarth is sent on a mission by Jaime. This is taken from the following book, A Feast for Crows, but I'll cover the TV series' version. The first scene of Game of Thrones is Eddard Stark's great sword, Ice, being melted down into two new swords. Jaime gives one to Brienne. Brienne names it Oathkeeper. I think that this says a lot about these two characters. Jaime broke his oath to the Mad King to save lives and asked Brienne that if Renly Baratheon told her to kill her father, as Mad Aerys commanded of Jaime, if she'd go through with it. By Brienne calling her sword Oathkeeper, I think that she's saying that she would. We don't see more of these two this season, but seeing it in the last two seasons was fantastic. I still ship them. Even the actors ship them. Another one of the relationships that I adore is that of the Hound and Arya. I love everything about this. The acting, the writing, Sandor's cynicism, Arya's obvious hatred. I also like how they warm up to each other. The Hound gets injured and Arya wants to burn and clean the wounds, but the Hound, being pyrophobic, is resistant. Sandor opens up to Arya and tells her how his big brother, the Mountain, shoved his face into a fire. He at least lets Arya clean the cuts. Eventually he gets her to the Vale, but since her aunt died, he can't take her anywhere. Eventually, in a scene that wasn't from the books, Brienne finds Arya with the Hound. Though the Hound has little reason to keep her, he doesn't want to let go of her. They have a pretty nasty fight that the Hound loses. The Hound begs for Arya to kill him, but she just robs him and leaves him to die. I think that the Hound is someone that Arya could have become. They've both seen terrible things, they've both seen good people put through terrible things, they've seen terrible people have power. The Hound even tells her as much. It seems like they learn from each other. The Hound learns to care about another person aside from Sansa. He wanted to watch over Arya after her aunt died, even though there was no one else to take her to. And to be honest, I also love the relationship because it reminds me of the one between Gohan and Piccolo from the Saiyan arc of Dragon Ball. This would be the last season that would have an episode written by George R.R. Martin, who decided that he needed to focus on writing the remaining books, which still aren't complete. But he went on a good one, The Lion and the Rose. Some particularly strong moments are Brienne's conversation with Cersei, Joffrey's belittlement of Tyrion, and finally, Joffrey's poisoning and Cersei accusing Tyrion. In previous seasons, we were introduced to Craster, who marries his daughters and gives any infant sons to the White Walkers. In Season 4, we see exactly what is done to them. They are turned into White Walkers. This is also the first look we get at the Night King. I'll say more about him next time. Tyrion's story is horrible. Not from a quality perspective. From a quality perspective, it's fantastic. I mean, as in everyone is against Tyrion, most tragically his family. His father, who hated him since he killed his mother in childbirth, and his sister, who hates him for the same reason, as well as for being the Valonqor, but I'll talk about that later. His only family member who hasn't hated him for years is Jaime, and what's worse of all is that Shae testifies against him. It's just so heartbreaking. These two actors had genuinely good chemistry, and you really believe that these characters were in love. You can feel Tyrion's pain as Shae lies in front of him. Seriously, props to Peter Dinklage here and to the rest of this great scene, which concludes with Tyrion concluding that he won't get a fair trial and demands a trial by combat. Cersei calls for Gregor the Mountain Clegane, and a visitor from Dorne, Oberyn Martell, who decides to be Tyrion's champion, mostly because he personally wants to kill the Mountain for killing his sister Elia Martell and her children by Rhaegar Targaryen. He manages to poison Sir Gregor, but Gregor manages to kill him in gruesome fashion. But before Tyrion is executed, Jaime sneaks him out. But before Tyrion escapes, he decides to pay his father a visit. He finds Shae in Tywin's bed and has to kill her in a heartbreaking scene, and then he kills his father on the privy. And it's no better than you deserve, is it? Charles Dance was consistently fantastic as Tywin Lannister, and the actor will be missed. Bran Stark makes his destination to the Three-Eyed Raven, and we see the Children of the Forest. Well, a Child of the Forest. This is Leaf. She's going to look very different when we see her again in Season 6. Of the Children of the Forest, George R. R. Martin said, "The children are, well, the children. Elves have been done to death." During Season 3, a member of the Second Sons, Daario Naharis, becomes a member of Daenerys Targaryen's Queen's Guard. In Season 3, he is portrayed by Ed Skrein. In Season 4, he is replaced by Michael Huisman. It mainly bothers me because it robs the show of a bit of consistency. Out of the two, I prefer Ed Skrein, though Michael Huisman does grow into the role by Season 5. Ed Skrein was later cast as Francis in Deadpool, so he's alright. The attack on Castle Black leads to Ygritte's death. She dies of an arrow in the TV series and in the books, but in the books Jon finds her body as she dies, and in the TV series he finds her pointing an arrow at him. Despite the circumstances, he's clearly happy to see her again, and Ygritte herself doesn't fire an arrow, but she gets one. Since Jon and Ygritte was my favorite Game of Thrones couple, I was very shocked when this happened. Though since the boy that killed her, Ollie's village, was destroyed in part by Ygritte, it's not impossible to understand his pain. We can at least take consolation in Kit Harington and Rose Leslie actually getting married in real life. Did you know that they're distant cousins? Don't worry, distant enough not to spawn any mutant children. Tyrion Lannister is exiled, Arya travels to Braavos, and Daenerys tearfully chains two of her dragons, Rhaegal and Viserion, in the depths of her great pyramid, where Drogon can't be found. The last chapter of The Storm of Swords reveals the character Lady Stoneheart. Who is she? She's the resurrected Catelyn Stark. She hangs anyone associated with the phrase Boltons or Lannisters. Okay, I hate Catelyn, but I love this idea and I have no idea why it was excluded. The television series needed to adapt the third book into 2 seasons of television. Season 5 will be taking a very different approach to its source material. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Vala Morghulis.